Greetings, Teric peoples! Your cult personality here, ToonKritic's name, Toon's name, my game. Welcome back to Roundtable's magic little show. We take a look at the My Little Ponies of the Friendship is Magic variety. I, of course, you know me, you know quite a few people on here, but in case this is your first time watching this lovely little podcast... Wait a sec, did I just do the intro uninterrupted?
Yeah, you did.
I was legit expecting an interruption at some point. All right.
Oh, you just interrupted yourself. Well done.
Yeah, congratulations.
That was my plan all along, Toon. I make you paranoid, and eventually you're the interrupter yourself.
you have interruption Stockholm syndrome.
Oh great! I just got rused. Okay, so we have the usual crew here. We have Golden Fox.
So we have a changeling and a dragon. I wonder how well that'll turn out.
Yes. We have Kefram.
Hello, everyone. It is me, Keyframe, for another episode. Will I go for 3 in a row? We'll see. Probably not.
We have British Ninja.
My is Ember 1. Bad dragon.
I was hoping we were going to avoid that, Ninja, but alright. We have Lightning Bliss.
I am not going to make any comment.
Yeah, keep it PG. My older green bros here. Rah, rah, rah.
That's cute. And what?
Well, then there's and we also have Lightning Bliss, as you could hear from that emphatic what.
You mean the Powerpuff Girl?
Yeah. Oh my God!
That is your one time.
you.
That is your one time you're getting to do that in the history of forever, Ninja. I hope you use that card well.
I will levitate you up and drop you on your head.
And our special guests for today's episode, first up, because this episode features a dragon and a changeling, we have, of course, one of many guests that I've been wanting to get on for quite some time. You know him as the dude who's related to our favorite Dr. Wolf, Teric.
Hello! I'm actually happy to be on here, and I'm actually kind of flattered that you invite me to come with you.
I've been wanting to get him on for quite some time. We only finally were able to get something worked out around BonusCon, so this is nice to actually get this to work.
Yeah, happy to be here.
And because we have Changeling upon us, we had to bring in not Sketchy, not FNGR, not the other Changeling that I can't remember. I think we just had one like an episode ago, maybe.
We had Debuggle.
We had Debuggle. Yeah. Oh, by the way, this episode's totally not out of order. Not at all. We have Countess Rose with us.
We didn't get green changeling. We didn't get orange changeling. We didn't get magenta changeling. We got a changeling with all the colors.
You have the rainbow changelings here. For those who didn't hear over the interruptions, Countess Rose. There we go.
Hello, thank you for having me. This will be fun.
Yes.
Luscious and lovely.
Unfortunately, Voice is not here because we're recording this on a different day, so at least he was here for some of the other episodes, but this is okay. So, today's episode is Triple Threat. This is going to be a fun episode because it brings back one of our fan-favorite characters, Ember, and of course, Thorax, who is now just a mainstay of the series now. We get to see how the Spike episode hopefully doesn't suck.
Oh my God.
May I go first, please?
Yes, go ahead, Kefram.
I'm gonna talk about my positive.
Okay.
I really like the concept of this episode. I think I'm someone. I'm someone who's liked Spike since the beginning. I'm sorry if I'm too quiet.
You're fine.
I've liked Spike since the beginning. I know there's a lot of people that either vehemently do not like Spike episodes, or they're like, oh, Spike episodes only got good in season 4 onward, and blah, 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 blah. But I really love Spike episodes, and I will say this, season 6 was a mixed bag, but the best thing season 6 brought on was the best amount, quality, and quantity of Spike episodes. And this episode was basically the summation of all the good Spike episodes, because you got Thorax and Ember and everything. And the concept of 3 foreign species to Ponyville, going in Ponyville, trying to interact and be friends with each other because they both have a mutual friend and everything is really cool. And I like that. They're kind of like the misfit toys, and I just really enjoyed the concept and everything about it. I don't know. This episode is one that I like, but for very vague reasons. I think we all have those kinds of episodes where we're just kind of like, it good or
Definitely.
it bad.
Yep.
But this one was it cute, and I really enjoyed that concept, and I'm very happy they did it the season after and not just, let's wait 3 seasons for something to happen, which is a running thing in this show. But hooray, exceptions to the rule. So I'm going to pass it off to one of our guests, Teric.
Very well. All right. What I liked about this episode is we could see, of course, being a dragon, I'm going to be rooting for the dragons.
Yeah.
We got to see some world building on the dragon side. Ember, of course, she comes in. I mean, okay. Did anybody else notice that when Ember first came in, she did the epic hero drop landing like Iron Man?
Yes, that was my favorite part of the episode.
That's really hard on your knees.
Yay, superhero landing, woo.
They did the superhero landing. I had to notice that. I'm pretty sure everyone else did.
Oh yeah, we all did.
What I liked about it is that we got some world building on the dragon side. They talked about what their eating habits. We haven't really seen the dragon's eating habits up until now. And then she's sitting there trashing the walls and things, eating the crystals out of the castle. We saw that Ember, when she was talking to Thorax, and he was asking her, well, how do you make friends? And she gets up and she's all intimidating and she's throwing rocks and blasting them out of the air with the fire and stuff. And this is what we do to get friends, is we impress people and that kind of thing. And so we get a lot more view of how dragon society works and how the interactions between dragons work. And so I really enjoyed that. Okay, and do I pass it on or do you name it?
You can. Who do you want to pass it to?
Let's go to Goldie.
Me?
Yep.
Okay. Boy, there's quite a couple of things to pick that are positive. The thing about this episode is that it's really one of those episodes that felt really awkward and felt weird, but not in a negative way. And I think the best part of it has to deal with just how silly and awkward the whole episode was timed. When Thorax shows up and he's like, "Ooh, what's this? Ooh, what's that?" And he's just so happy and optimistic. And I guess the one major thing I liked in this episode was just Thorax. I've grown to appreciate Thorax more and more ever since I've heard about him. Like, I'd never had anything negative about him before, but I'm really starting to appreciate him, especially in To Change a Changeling.
Mm-hmm.
This episode, he's no exception. I enjoy that. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Countess.
Okay, then. Yeah, I have to agree. This episode did feel awkward, but not in a negative way. But what I really appreciated about this episode in general was that the major conflict was actually resolved with no involvement of the ponies. Because because it was resolved because Thorax and Ember came together by themselves and they just talked it out without themselves and they helped each other.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
That is super cool. But there was
if I can just make one little point here, the fact that Spike was chosen by the map to go solve the problem and he didn't solve it.
That's something I'll bring up later.
All right, go ahead.
I don't know. We'll go over on negatives once everyone's finished with their positives.
Well, I'm not sure that's a negative, but go ahead.
Okay. And I guess I'll go on to Ninja.
Oh, okie dokie. Well, what I like about this episode is how it actually gets to the conflict. Now, the conflict of this episode is that Spike doesn't believe that they will get along and that they would create a conflict if they met. Now my personal little headcanon to why he thinks this way is that Twilight and the others are so socially inept that they run into and cause friendship problems left, right, and center to the point where he thinks that any stranger's meeting is bound to create a conflict. And funny enough, he was right, just not the one he was expecting. And, I thought that was pretty cool. It was like, these cronies are terrible at friendship. I can't let these two meet each other. They could be worse. What?
Yeah, I get you.
I thought it was pretty funny. So I will. Who has not been? Bussy?
Me and Toon.
I think there's
Okay.
a piano from like Teric's end. Is there?
Yeah.
Not that it just when it starts playing, you can just like mute just in case, so like it doesn't, overshadow.
I
other
was
people's
enjoying
focus.
background music.
I mean, it is nice. It is nice. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was my own personal monologue starting there. I was like, wow.
Anyways,
No,
Bliss,
that's
you're up.
that's my power, Ninja. That's my power for music to suddenly start when I start monologuing. it's like Scrooge McDuck. Only he can swim through gold.
Okay.
To be
I'll
honest-
pass it on to the Bliss.
Wait, hang on a sec. Teric, you were saying something?
The music is actually my son practicing the piano.
Oh, okay. We'll tell him
follow
he's doing
your
a good
dreams,
job.
Teric.
Another interesting thing, Teric's kids are wolves too.
This one is actually
family work?
this one is actually a
I'm
fox.
asking the same
Oh, this
thing.
one's a fox. Okay, my bad.
Again, how does this family work?
Oh, his wife is a cat.
What?
A lot of adoption.
Anyway, Bliss, what was your positive about this episode?
I guess I'll jump on the thorax bit here, but it's not just for how cute and awkward he was at first,
He's
or
a
the
cinnamon
fact
roll
that
and he must be saved. Sorry.
But it's not just that. The fact that he was, despite his hesitation to lead an entire kingdom, the fact that I knew it was in him that he could do that was when he thought that Spike was in danger, and he was very quick to go to his aid. I see. There's a part of me that thought that he wouldn't do anything because of how the way he was acting and the way he was talking to Spike, and that he wasn't handling like some rebel changelings very well, and he didn't know how to be assertive. He didn't know what to do. But as soon as he sees Spike in trouble, he immediately goes on the offensive, and I'm like, dude, you have it in you to be a leader. You can do it. And I love that Ember points that out later. But yeah, the fact that
You
Thorax
said Amber,
was
not Ember, I noticed.
Both dragons.
they're both dragons. Shut up. In fact, what's the difference between?
I
One's
don't know,
a stone,
one's a tsundere and the other isn't, so...
They all look the same to me. I have a very special point about that when it gets to my negative.
I'm not going into that. Like, he knew what I was talking about. But yeah, the fact that Thorax was quick to be on the offensive and to protect one of his own is like, dude, I don't know what you're worried about. You got this. But yeah, I really like that about Thorax, and I don't care what people say. I like his design. I think it's really cool.
I do too.
It's slowly growing on me like a parasite or a leech.
That is the best way to
That's
put
a
it.
black joke.
Soon it will consume enough blood that I will be delirious enough to be like, this is fine. Anyway, you're negative, Blissy?
No.
hi.
That's exactly.
We got to do tune.
Alright,
This-
so, the title of this episode resonates with me for two reasons. One, it's clever. It's also a wrestling reference, so awesome. I'm happy that they kind of snuck that in there. But it's very important to see the chemistry between all three of these characters. We explore how tight Spike is with Thorax, and how close Spike is, or at least attempting to be, with Ember. But the most important thing I like later on in this episode is how Ember and Thorax actually bond and have to learn off of one another, and they develop through each other, which is great because I love Ember. I loved Ember when she first showed up, and it took me a while to get used to Thorax, but I really like Thorax now too, so I love seeing how all these characters are able to bounce off of each other. There's natural chemistry between them, and I think we pointed out earlier, they kind of solved the problem on their own, and that's good to see, because these characters are going to be eventual, important leaders with their, respective communities. So it's important that they're actually able to get along and learn a few things from each other, and maybe this will lead up to something else maybe in the future. But then that ties into my negative, though.
Oh boy, here comes cartoons.
Here we go.
Oh joy.
Do I even need to say the negative here? Because I feel it's pretty obvious.
And that
Spike.
would be
My dude. My bro. Brosif. Brosidon. Brotato Chip. My bromigo.
Get to the point.
This is one of these episodes where I have to start a dang it Spike counter. Because, as it was mentioned before, these two solved the problem on their own. You made a big fuss for completely no reason. This entire episode could have been avoided had you just let things happen. But no, you had to try and play a game that you knew you were going to lose. Dude.
okay. Can
That I can call you out on.
can I give a counterpoint, please?
Okay.
Have you seen the people that Spike hangs around with 90% of his life? There are people that at least they are ponies that at least once a week for 22 minutes constantly get in interrelationship conflicts with
That's
each
what
other.
I was saying.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Ninja here. He's around people who will start up an episode-worthy conflict out of some really petty reasons, and so it's kind of warranted. It's kind of like you know what? I know people are not going to like this. It's kind of like Pinky's philosophy in Rock Solid Friendship, because her experiences that she's had throughout her life and throughout meeting people have made her have the perception that this is what you need to do. And that's kind of the same thing with Spike. Because of the ineptness that he's around all the time, he kind of feels like, no, when two people who are different from each other get together, they're going to have problems.
But I just thought for once, after 7 seasons, eventually Spike would be the smarter voice of reason around here. Since we don't have a voice of reason here, we need a Spike that is smart enough to realize you didn't need to do this. This reminds me of the time, and this is a very short thing, where I was trying to introduce one of my friends who was a furry, and one of my other friends who was a brony. And I was having the same kind of panic attack as thinking, wonder if these two aren't gonna get along. But guess what? This episode was very similar to an event that I had in my life, and guess what? They worked out everything fine. I wasn't even needed. I was the Spike in my own friendship problem. Thank you.
Okay, so this hits you on a personal level, so I think that there's quite a bit of bias. Therefore, your point doesn't count.
Oh, okay, so, all right, I'll give a point. Okay, I'll give a valid point then. Ember is racist against ponies then. And we should not stand for that.
That was hilarious. No, I will full-frontedly stand for that. She's completely right, They all look the same.
Gosh!
Ember's comments on, Starlight and Twilight are like every single fan who's like, hang on, isn't that just Sunset Shimmer again? Isn't that just Twilight with a different coat of paint?
What's the next one that's going to show up? Hi, my name is Eve Twinkle. Okay, stop.
My name is Mid-Afternoon Snack. Fear me as I destroy all of Equestria.
Oh, that's an oldie.
I thought that
That's
was
an old
genuinely hilarious.
Wow.
All right, I'll pass it back to Blissy.
All right, my negative may be ragged on for the fact that Spike has done a lot of things in the past, like helping to save a Crystal Empire, or help the changelings in the Crystal Empire see things in a different light, like befriending Thorax in the first place, yada yada. But I digress. Just like with Princess Spike, I am banging my head against the wall and shouting at the TV, why are you letting a child be a diplomat to two beings of two different kingdoms?
Because Twilight made him the friendship ambassador for dragons or something?
He's still a child!
You see, I'm at an impasse here.
Yeah,
see,
I understand if they wanted to make a good impression and being diplomatic, so having someone who is befriended the Dragon Lord would be a smart maneuver. Yes, it is very smart. But allowing him to plan everything and be the speech announcer and just all, no, bad ponies. Bad! You are letting a child take over everything. This is not a good idea. He needs direction. He needs an assistant. He needs somebody to be there to help him out. And I hardly saw anybody helping him out other than they were just doing what he said. And I am planning into the ground.
I think Ninja had a counterpoint.
Yeah, here.
Well,
point.
And I'm at an impasse because if I agree with you, it just, it adds more fuel to the fire that Alico and Twilight's kind of silly, and I'm all for that. But on the other hand, Spike kind of is the only branch they have to the dragons. Like, you could argue that Starlight has a branch to the changelings, but the dragons came because, like, it was an official meeting of the dragons or something like that. The changelings came just because he had an issue he wanted Spike himself to see.
Yeah, again, I understand that, like, Ember specifically came to see Spike. I get that, but still, the fact that he had to plan all of this out by himself, it feels like, I don't like that. That doesn't sit right with me. He needed help. He needed an adult!
Yeah.
It's funny.
Go ahead, Keith.
Go on,
Oh,
Keith.
sorry. My thing, kind of a supplement and kind of a counterpoint is, I think it's not, in concept, it's not a bad idea for Spike to handle stuff when it comes to this. However, the thing I don't like about it is, Twilight's Miss plan, and Spike is her assistant that helps her. I'm kind of with you in he should have kind of his own quote-unquote Spike, which I think is needed. To me, it's nothing about his age or anything, because I don't... His age and maturity levels, they are different depending on the writer. And it's just... So I can't really make a fair argument for that. But however, I think just ethos-wise... If Twilight gets an assistant when she has to do this planning stuff, Spike should get one as well, and he should. And it's not, he is an assistant, so he shouldn't need an assistant. I think that's kind of stupid.
Yep.
You have a young child, baby dragon, practically representing the entire friendship lands of Ponyville or Equestria or whatnot to a dragon lord. He is a child. When was the last time he did anything like this?
Yeah, I don't think he's ever been in a position. Well, I mean, if you go back and you look at Princess Spike, that's comparable.
Yeah,
Well,
I already
I
did
want to hear where
use-
this is going.
No.
Go on.
It's comparable because you had high-ranking officials and important ponies from a lot of different areas coming to have audience with Twilight. And in the situation that they were in, Spike was taking audience in her place. And so he was kind of thrust into that diplomatic role. Even though he wasn't talking with foreign dignitaries, he was still put in a place where he had to address issues with important people. Now, you have to admit, if you watch Princess Spike, he didn't do all that well there either. And that gets into the negative that I'm going to get into, and so I'll save it for my turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it's not necessary. He has no experience. They're letting the child make these really big decisions with another leader of another land. That's dangerous. I find it irresponsible. Where was Celestia? Twilight should have been at least by his side the whole time and assisting him. Then I might have been a little bit more laid back, but I'm not. He was basically running the show. I felt bad for him. I felt like he was once again thrusted into a position he shouldn't have to have been in alone. But I will be finished with my point and pass it back to Ninja.
Okie dokie, artichoke. I suppose I didn't hate or dislike much about this episode. I thought it was alright, kind of mediocre. I suppose if I thought it was stalling a little bit. It's like once you had the two in play, like both the dragon and the changeling kind of fighting over who gets more attention with Spike. We all kind of know where it's building up to, and in cases like the one where Pinkie Pie knows, it keeps escalating and getting bigger and bigger and more insane. With this episode, it just kind of maintains that level of, they start to get frustrated, and then they're a little more frustrated, and then the truth breaks out. I feel like if it went to that level of insanity faster, then it would have been a bit more entertaining. But personally, I just think it was stalling a little bit too much.
Mm.
I suppose that's it. So I will pass it back to, was it Countess before me?
Yes.
Aha.
Okay, yeah, I had very few negatives besides just the general awkwardness of the feeling of the episode from its premise. But the main thing that bugged me was the map. The map was not actually kind of needed. They could have saved the reveal that Spike can be called by the map for a later episode, I felt like.
Oh, we didn't even talk about the whole him getting buzzed for a friendship problem thing, did we?
Nope.
I mentioned it.
It was kind of an like it was more. I feel like it was more of a story contrivance. Like, okay, let's put Spike in this thing now. They didn't truly like explain it. It was just like, okay, Spike can do this now, which is alright. We got more Spike episodes. I like my Dragon, bro.
Yeah, which makes
Alright.
sense.
It felt shoehorned in general.
A tiny.
It wasn't necessary, but it's like, ooh, look, viewers, the map will actually contact non-pony characters. Woo! Yeah, that is really cool, but was it really necessary?
Fair enough.
You guys are stomping all over my negative point.
Oh, sorry.
See? For those
Yeah,
at home,
that's
if you'd like to
gonna
play,
happen.
if you would like to play the Roundtable's Magic Drinking Game, take a shot every time someone's point gets taken.
Oh, crap. All right. So is it golden now?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. Okay, this one is going to be a very odd negative for me to say. I'm just going to say on the surface, I don't like that Amber is being overtly aggressive. And this roots back to Gauntlet of Fire when all the dragons are being overtly aggressive. When the big ruler was saying, agree with me, and just a bunch of other, like, aggressive attitude. And this roots back to Dragon Quest, where my biggest complaint in the episode is that Spike single-handedly judged an entire race just by a group of small teens. And the writers are trying to, it seems to me, like the writers are trying to cover themselves and excuse, oh, that's how all dragons are. And
Hashtag
I'm
not
just
all
like,
dragons.
yeah, DHX, that's not going to cover your asses. You wrote a bad episode.
Yeah.
So seeing Amber act in such a way, it is still like, this is weird. Because it's like, how long has it been since we've seen Amber? Not including Celestial Advice, but since Gauntlet of Fire.
We saw her pop up. Oh no,
Oh, wow.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
This is really the first time in a long time where she's actually had the limelight in the show.
Yeah. I will give you that I do appreciate the development that she's having, but I really don't like it when these dragons in the show are being overtly aggressive as if that's the only single trait. Because it's one-dimensional. It just seems like it's an excuse that the writers are just trying to cover up.
Well, if I may offer a counterpoint to that, I think it's because that's mostly how they've been raised for generations. You have leaders who have this aggressive mentality, and they pass it on through generations. So every dragon since then think, oh, that's just how we all act. That's just how it's always been. So to see them try to emote other feelings, it's unusual for them because they've been raised pretty much this entire time with all these traditions and all these, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Mentalities, yeah. With all that set into them. So it's not really their fault. It's more so that's all they know.
Rawr. It's time for the dragon to step in here.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Teric.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Countess. I didn't mean to step on you.
I was just going to
It's so
kind of going along with Toon's point is that it kind of makes sense that the dragons are naturally more aggressive, just as, like, say, the griffins in the show are naturally kind of selfish and
Stingy.
greedy. Yeah.
Prideful.
Yeah. What were you going
It's
to add
just
on to that, Teric?
It's just a cultural norm.
Yeah.
As far as dragon society goes, the way that the dragon, at least on the good dragons, they have always valued both strength and wisdom. And so in this Dragon Society that we're seeing in MLP, we're seeing at least half of that being demonstrated is the strength, the prowess, the ability to intimidate. And we haven't actually seen dragons get into real fights. We've seen tussles here and there.
What's that noise in the background?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. We've seen little tussles here and there. We've seen the bullies and stuff, but we've never seen a dragon actually really fighting. And that's something, honestly, I'd be interested to see. I'm expecting something like you'd see in Game of Thrones. For them, the power and the strength and the prowess has always been very valuable. And like you guys were saying before, their leadership has always been established based on those attributes. And so it would only be natural that a dragon, having grown up in this society and had very little exposure to outside society, would feel naturally inclined to continue to demonstrate those types of attributes when trying to interact with other beings. Because Ember did not know that a show of power or a show of strength or intimidation is not necessarily a good thing in pony society.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I'm addressing Amber's character, I'm not trying to demonize her. I know that she didn't have any real malicious intention. It's always been bugging me that the dragons have been written, like, in the show, have been written in such a manner that's only based on Spike's judgment from Dragon Quest, which it has so many problems within itself. Now, with everything you've explained, and as well as what Bliss and ToonKritic explained, they're very legit. I can get behind that, but they don't really seem to tackle on this as much in the show, so I don't really have the same impression. It would be nice if we had episodes that tackled something about their culture in that regard, but until then, I still have that impression that the writers are just trying to cover themselves up from, the issues that were written in Dragon Quest.
Now, as a dragon, I'm actually very curious to see how this goes, and I think Ember actually has quite a bit of potential here. She has an opportunity to show that dragons are not all just huff and puff and flame and power. Because obviously during this episode she was uncomfortable with the touchy-feely. She didn't like the hugs, and she was saying, okay, that's part of a friendship thing. But it didn't seem like she was so opposed to it. And even there at the end, where Thorax was talking her through how her actions would affect the feelings of others, she actually did come to that realization, and saying that the normal way that I am used to interacting with other dragons, maybe that's going to cause it's going to cause problems with other species. Maybe I need to reconsider this. So the fact that she actually is opening herself up to those types of considerations, that actually is encouraging to me, and I'm very curious to see how she develops in the future if she continues down that road.
Did anyone else notice that Golden Fox said Amber instead of Ember?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, look, I don't care about how she's pronounced. Okay,
No,
Amber. I'll just
it's a
say
fun
whatever
coincidence.
I hear Amber too, though. When I first heard her name, I thought it was Amber too. So
It's
Amber,
okay.
Ember. Sorry, the A and the E.
No,
Switch them around.
I wasn't trying to poke.
I'm also going to say this. I don't care how Prince Rutherford said. I'm still calling him Prince Ruthless.
I wasn't trying to poke fun. I just find it a funny coincidence because of a certain Amber dragon sitting in the call.
And,
Anyways.
it's totally appropriate.
Yeah.
I think you're being a little overtly sensitive about someone poking fun about your pronunciation.
Grammar Nazis. Hashtag.
Anyways. Passing it back to Teric Fox?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'll go ahead and pass it back to him.
All right.
All right. My negative, it's been touched on, but I think we can go a little deeper, is the fact that we were, when we saw that the map chose Starlight, everybody was like, oh my gosh, it'll choose someone aside from the main six. This is really, really cool. All right, so when the moment that they revealed that the map is choosing Spike, oh, that is really, really cool. Something that I'm sure some of us were looking forward to. Spike actually gets his chance to go off and fulfill a quest for the map. But what it seems to me is that, first of all, he completely flubbed. He was going around town looking, I mean, it was almost laughable how cringeworthy it was that he was going around town and asking everybody, oh, do you have a friendship conflict? No? Okay, well, let me move. Now let's pop out of this barrel of apples and scare everybody, asking if they have a friendship conflict. That was actually kind of cringeworthy there. But I think the tragedy here, and that so much missed opportunity, is the fact that Spike, being sent on a quest by the map, had a chance to resolve a friendship conflict or to be instrumental in the resolution thereof. And I think what finally ended up was that if he was associated with the solution, it was only in a very, very passive manner, because the actual solution happened between Thorax and Ember herself, and Spike wasn't even involved. So I think there was a huge opportunity missed there.
I can agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
So that provides a little bit of thought to how the map operates. Like, if it's a Destiny thing, if the map knows exactly what's going to happen, why did it send out Spike if it knew that they could resolve their problems anyway without his help?
I'm inclined to think that the map is not omniscient.
That's a theory for another day, I would think.
That's an interesting thing to think on.
Yeah. Anyway, so let me pass this point over to Keyframe.
I found a Twitter that's nothing but a Samoyed walking around with a bag of chips in its mouth. It's very entertaining. Anyway, my negative for this episode. Here's my thing. Do you ever hear a joke that's like, oh, if this was only made like a couple of years earlier, it would be topical and funny because it's topical. I kind of feel like that with Ember's all ponies look the same joke. Now hear me out here. It's a funny joke, but it's a joke that I think is less funny in season 7 of the show, when we've had so many new body types and everything introduced into the show. If this was a joke made in seasons 1 and 2, where the only real different body types are Alicorns, Fleur-de-Lis, and Mrs. Cake, I think it would have been funnier. I don't know. To me, that kind of, besides the palette swap thing, also just kind of a personal thing. Starlight with Twilight's colors, I hate it.
Genuinely disturbing.
I remember that. I showed, like, I think somebody found it where they swapped it, and I think I tweeted, and I'm like, this makes British Ninja physically uncomfortable.
My thing is with that is just like, one thing, Twilight with Starlight's colors is just not a good design. I think this actually shows something, a little side tangent, because my negative was very short.
Okay.
This shows how important color theory is with your character design, because
here comes the art speak.
Yeah, here comes the art speak. With character design, we see this with the toys in MLP a lot, where a lot of the additional characters that are made are usually palette swaps or different color palettes put on top of the same molds of previous characters. That's why we have stuff like Twinkle, Shine, and that one like Pegasus character with Twilight's haircut that has like pink, green, and yellow or whatever with freckles and all that stuff. The thing that shows it is how important colors are to a character, and especially when you know the personality of a character and everything. Because when you see that palette swap between Starlight and Twilight, it makes you uncomfortable because those colors don't fit the characters. Because I know the whole point of it was like, oh, they're just like each other, but it's like, when you grow with these characters and you see them with these different colors, it feels wrong, because colors project personality traits and emotion and how you feel about something. And seeing it on a character that you already know what your feelings about that character is, makes it feel weird. I'm not great at articulating today, so I apologize. But yeah, those were my little points right there. So we're at the end. So I guess let's go on to the meme face.
Before we do that, there's one thing that I wanted to talk about to kind of wrap us up. Where is the love for Derpy? I saw what happened, okay? The muffin scene, everybody that I knew who was a Derpy fan went nuts this episode. That scene right there drove everyone crazy. I knew one of my friends, let me tell you something, one of my friends who is an absolute honest-to-God lover of Ember denounced Ember because he also liked Derpy in this episode. He's just like, that was just mean. I don't like Ember anymore because of that. I'm like, but it was funny though. It was funny.
I'm just saying. I had like a mental image when that scene happened. I just imagined like if the scene went on or if the episode ended there, you just see the camera zoom out a bit. You see Dr. Hooves right next to Derpy when Derpy's about to cry, and then it cuts to the TARDIS in space and then throwing Ember out into the void of space.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I need to. I want to make like a 5-second animation of that because that is the best mental image I've ever had relating to an episode.
Do it.
I want to see that, T-Frame.
Let's make that a comment thing then. If you want to see that animation from me, so I actually had to put effort into something this week. Use the hashtag KeyEmber. Yeah, there you go. Use KeyEmber.
KeyEmber, yes. All right, let me put this in here for the chat for you guys. Oh dear, I hope Skype didn't freeze when I attempted to do this. We're getting the... There we go. Alright, awesome. Both of them at once. So now we come to the Roundtable meme face part of the episode. We've been doing these a little out of order, so excuse us if this seems out of order. So the winner of this week's Roundtable meme face goes to Stephen Riley for... Actually, let me just say, when it comes to the picture that I give you, you can... like, change it up a little bit. A little bit. You're allowed to. But I honestly love the caption here. Can someone in the name of Jesus get this freaking relish off my goddamn... mainly, I imagine Ferrig's actually saying that. And I feel like he's a gruff dude to where he'll let a few swears loose. And Thorax will just go... just staring at him, just like, why would you say that?
Do you think that if we can get this censored so that what the actual word is too freaking, you guys can get Bill Newton to actually read that?
No, wait a minute. It's not just that word. You've got you've got taking the name of the Lord in vain here, and you've got all of this. Oh my God.
You got a ton of swear words.
Okay. Freaking and gosh darn.
Okay, chat, do you want us to do that? Because we're going to be interviewing him in a later episode. If we can get him to do that, that would be amazing. I'm pretty sure he'd be chill with it. But
I vote yes.
I think it'd be funny. Just it's completely harmless. Anyways, and for next week's picture, here it is, right here. Though I actually linked it to you guys in there. Just look how happy Thorax looks, like a bug drawn to the flame. So,
like a bug drawn to a bug zapper.
Well, no, it literally is. This is the spot where he was drawn to the flame, and he just lit up. He thought it was fantastic.
So, as per usual, I'm going to put this up on Twitter. So all you have to do is come up with your best funny caption or subtitle for this. Hopefully put it on the picture. That's the thing. Tweet the picture with the subtitle in it. Just so we can be clear. Yeah. And tag it to me with hashtag Roundtable meme face, and we will pick a winner for the next episode. I'm glad that we're actually doing these more often. These are actually quite fun to do.
I have I guess this is a thing that I have a question since we have a changeling in this chat.
Sure.
So because I'm looking at this picture of Thorax, do you think the changelings have like those giant eyes like flies have, where it's a bunch of individual eyes made into one giant eye kind of thing.
You mean a compound eye?
Yeah, because I look at them and it's like, because they don't have pupils necessarily, they're just brighter areas. So it's like, to me, it's like, well, if they didn't have if they didn't have a compound eye, I imagine it would be easier to see what their pupils are, like chrysalises. So I'm wondering if regular changelings have compound eyes.
I don't know. That seems like an interesting thought. Usually I see their pupils as like that center of the gradient, but that's interesting.
Yeah, there you go, Chad. I left you guys with something to think about. Do you think that when you look at a changeling, there's 1,000 eyes staring back at you? Anyway, enjoy your day. This Roundtable is Magic with TericDragon and Countess Rose. We talked about Triple Threat. We will see you guys next time.
Thank you for watching, and stay awesome.